everyone and welcome back to the channel, and today we're doing crosswind flying. Finally got to fly with Mark again. As you can see, he's in the back. Go on Mark, give us a wave. Yay. Don't smack me over the head. Yeah, so we're going to be doing crosswind. We've got a definite strong crosswind today, so it's as much the ground handling techniques as it is the air techniques, and we've already completed the ground brief, so we'll join you in the flight. See you in a minute, guys. Okay, master is going on. Fingers on the mags. Final check.
You mastered these mnemonics, haven't you?
What's that?
The mnemonics, you've mastered the mnemonics.
Oh, I've got a list in front of me.
Well, don't use that, remember them.
That's why I have a list, because I've got a shit memory. There's that balancing act, isn't it, of positioning for startup and then having to wait for the oil temp before you can actually manoeuvre.
Yeah, I mean, only on a day where it's really, really cold and the oil definitely isn't warming up very quickly.
Yeah.
But as long as you're not using this like a massive amount of power, you know, you can creep taxi very easily. I mean, obviously we're on slightly longer grass, so it's going to take a bit more power to move than normal, but
yeah,
you know, as long as you're not revving the cans off it, what you don't want to do is just cause damage to your engine.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
So, when we're taxiing with a good crosswind, you have the right technique. Hold on to the training bar and do long arm techniques.
Yeah.
Because if you go too far down,
yeah,
then it'll push the wing into the ground. It'll be harder.
yeah,
And if you don't push the wing in down enough, then the wind can get under the wing.
yeah,
And lift it up. So that way is a much better way. And then this way can control forwards and backwards.
yeah.
And that can control out. So what we'll do is mindful of which way the wind's coming.
Yeah.
We'll set ourselves up with a tailwind so that we can do our final takeoff checks. This way you're not going to get battered around. And
Okay.
remember,
Why a tailwind for this type of wind?
just because obviously you aren't battling the wing.
Yeah,
There's a number of things that we need to check where we might need to use hands. So gripping onto the wing for pure life.
yeah.
It just makes life a little bit easier with it being a tailwind as opposed to being a headwind.
So with this crosswind, that's going to be our tailwind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So bars forward now, isn't it? Yeah.
Now you can go through your pre-flight checks.
Yeah. Which is T-wave.
Yeah, and don't forget, you know, up until the point of takeoff,
Yeah.
we can always go back.
Yeah.
So, particularly when you're practicing crosswind landings, this is not, we just happen to have a crosswind landing.
Yeah.
This is when you're going up specifically to practice crosswinds. You always need to have a what if. So our what ifs, we've already discussed, is our crosswind runway, our shorter runway, but at least we know there is a runway that might be more into wind.
Yeah.
We've also discussed some of the other options that we are going to have a practice with.
Yeah.
And again, you know, it's at this point, if you're not happy to take off now, even on this lesson, you can call it. Don't feel the need to go up. Are you happy to proceed?
I'm happy, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're going to use is a crosswind takeoff technique is also quite important. So we're going to use the method that we discussed in the briefing.
Yeah.
We're going to put our tail right over the far end of the runway, so that we can cut out some of the crosswind component going into the corner. Okay. So as discussed, operating on the ground is just as important as how you fly in the air.
Yeah.
So make sure you're offering a wing down into wind. And pick a spot so you can see where the wind is, and judge where you think we need enough ground speed. Now I would say aim for our hangers there.
Yeah.
See that there?
Yeah.
So, are you happy to go?
Yeah, I've got control of the bar.
All checks complete?
All checks are complete.
Right, I'm good to go. So we're going to aim for the hangers, which is going to give us about 45 degrees across the runway.
Yep.
When you're ready, go straight through to full power and holding the bar in to get some airspeed.
Okay. Right. Full power. Airspeed's arrived. 30 mile an hour, 40 mile an hour. Holding that nose down. Tons of 50 mile an hour. Bar coming up.
Hey,
and then weather cocking.
There we go. Nose down a little bit just to gain some airspeed. We don't want to stall at this point. Now the worst thing you want to do at the minute is push out, but what I want you to do is gently push that bar out, okay, increase our climb rate. I'll get up to some of the smoother air.
Start our downwind turn now, obviously pointing the nose out of circuit because the wind is going to be trying to push us in. but yes, we'll make it.
Okay, let's keep it coming in then. Nose into it.
Centre line.
All the way.
Speed.
Start looking long.
Going around.
Ease that pressure off the bar. That's it. Set your airspeed. And then control your pilot power.
Going around.
I love those. Full power. Relax, relax. You alright?
Yeah. The camera never sees it, but I am bloody smiling. Come back off the power, and then come back into the climb. That was novel.
No, I won't lie, it's the third time that most people crash.
I'm going to leave that bit in.
It's true, you know, it's at this point they decided they're landing next time anyway.
Yeah. Well, it was that bit you said to me, you know, it took me 9 times to get in.
Yeah.
We've got fuel, so why push a bad situation? Good awareness, we'll be monitoring the wind on the downwind leg. Crabbing in slightly. Wind, discussing that. Knows where steering is straight, throttle is closed, trim is set. Are you secure in the back? I'm secure in the front. Let's keep an eye on this wind. And relax, and relax.
Can you feel me mentally massaging you?
Yeah. I think today is not the day for a hug.
Yeah. I don't know. It's never a good day for that.
I think that was just timing. I was naturally going back up for the bar then.
Well, that's good. You can leave it about that. Might need a slight increase in power. So when we get round into it, we're going to come to a grinding halt. I'll nose into it.
Bar in.
That's it. That's it.
Speed, centre line.
Well, we've got a bobble here every time, so brace yourself for it. Maybe a little bit longer into the field, a bit more power. That's it. Keep it coming in. Nice.
Centre line
Nice.
speed, a bit more power.
Looking long then, looking long. Looking long. Keep it. Keep that power on. Oh, we got closer to the ground that time.
Yeah. It just dropped through, didn't it? Bar in, come on. Okay, it's time to stabilise, just climb back out. It's that last little bit, wasn't it?
Yeah. Now this is what I thought was going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
So what we're going to look at is some other techniques on how we can now get on the ground. So we've given 3 powered approaches,
Yeah.
and it's not been particularly working. Okay, so we'll brief on the downwind leg,
Yeah.
on which part of the runway that we're going to go for.
Okay. Oh, as in your reference point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to come in more on a to the side of the runway and then move in.
Yeah.
So let's start a right hand turn.
So we really need to be coming in away from those trees through that other circuit, don't we?
Yeah. So ideally we're going to put ourselves over the east side of the concrete runway,
Yeah.
so that we can turn in, landing more into wind than across it.
Yeah.
So we're just going to minimise the headwind component. That's it. Let's point for there. We're still aiming for the runway. Nose into it.
Speed. It's hard to judge the centre line here because we're coming in at an odd angle. 500 feet. No, I don't think we'd make it with this speed. Flatten out.
We will.
Yeah.
Far in, off the power.
Okay.
That's it. Airspeed, centre line, off the power.
I am off, fully off.
Look at the run. Look at the run.
Oh, too fast.
Don't fight it. Don't fight it. Roll with it. Roll. Hold that. Far in. Straight and on.
And then manage the wing. Flip it. flipping egg.
We'll taxi ahead on this one.
Yeah. Should we taxi back to the hangar?
I love crosswinds.
And that's why I have an instructor in the back.
You did alright, mate, you did alright. On a more serious note, if we're still doing any form of debrief early,
Yeah.
you made some great go-around decisions.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like I say, we call it 3 and out. People have decided on the second go-around that they're landing on the third, regardless of what's happening, you know. You made some really good decisions there, mate. I'm really proud of you.
I've always worked on the premise it's easier. It's bloody Jim. You know, he gave me that song, you can always go around. And it's so true. If there's fuel in the tank, it's not an emergency. So why force an
Exactly.
issue? You know.
The issue is the lesser known subject of HPL, you know.
Human performance and limitations.
People don't take it seriously enough.
No.
And for me, it's probably one of the most important ones.
Well, that was good fun.
I'm hot.
Yes.
I turned the flying suit off because I sweated on that flight. It's a proper sweaty flight, that one.
It was good fun.
I'm glad you were there.
Yeah. No.
It's like you said at the beginning, in the briefing. It's like we're not going up without a plan.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, as much as we're talking about the weather and it being hot, we were very aware of the weather before we took off. And so the whole exercise and the point of the flight was to not just experience, but to find a safe way of operating in those weather conditions. Because, I mean, not that you would, I mean, is today a flyable day? Well, actually, when we got above 800 feet off the ground, yes, it was very flyable, wasn't it? It was beautiful. You know,
It was the last 800 feet that was the problem.
Yeah, it was just that last little bit, and that normally is the case with most people here when it comes to bad weather. You know, we got this runway that's marked in the ground, and the wind's coming from wherever it wants, and we need to deal with it. So actually having a battle plan for any flight before you take off is always the best way of moving forward. Sitting at the end of the runway going, right, what shall I do today, is never a good thing to do anyway. So, you know, going and actually flying with a plan is where you want to be. On every flight, what am I going to do and what's my plan if it goes wrong? You know, that's just good airmanship. So today we were practicing what's it like when it goes wrong. So we knew it was gusting, varying about 30 degrees, wind speed increasing sort of 5 to 10 knots throughout. It's red hot. It's been raining this morning, so it's going to be just one of those flights that you really wish you hadn't done. But of course, like I say, we had those plans. What was good for me, and I'll come back to what I was saying at the end of the flight, you made some really good decisions during that flight, and that, for me, I keep saying, was promising. You know, I don't even want to say it was promising. It was excellent. You know, we call it 3 and out. Someone will come along and they'll have a go at a crosswind and make an early go-around decision. First try. Second try, they'll go a little bit lower. It's probably not as good, but they'll still do a forced go-around. They've then, at that point on the go-around, they've decided that they are landing next time round. You know, and this is on climb out. So the circuit will be terrible, their approach will be terrible.
They've already preset their mind,
but they've already decided that they land it. And I said to you on the third one, right, this is the one where everyone crashes, because it's true.
And I said, really?
yeah, because that's exactly what happens. You know, that human performance limitations takes over. All of a sudden we start thinking, I'm not going to get down. What am I going to do? Well, you should already had that plan of what if. And that's why we go up and practice things like crosswind landings. You know, an airfield that's got 6 runways, isn't they never going to be a challenge with a crosswind? But you go to an airfield like Darley Moor that's got 1, possibly 2 runways, you might have more crosswind than you've ever been used to. You know, so it's really useful skill to be had. And let's face it, the Great British weather is not particularly great, but it is very British. And if we can expand our flyable days, we get to fly more. So why would we not practice? You know, we can go this stonking crosswind, but I know I'm all right, you know.
I think I said it to you just as we taxied in. I think it was more the fact that you were there as a comfort blanket that I took off knowing that we had options. I wasn't channeling myself down the one route option of it's this or bust. There was a get out plan. There were several we actually had 3 get out plans, as in go to other airfields.
Yeah.
But it's shown me that there is, and it's what you said in the briefing at the beginning, that there's the aircraft limit and you.
Yeah.
And depending on which way round they are, is entirely dependent on the day, your performance.
And this is coming back to the very first lesson, which seems like so long ago now, the very first conversation, and we're dealing with a Giles that's got experience on many flying aircraft types with different control systems, but the main difference that we're looking at is that you're going from the same control type, i.e. a Flexwing, but that's at 2 completely opposing characteristics, you know.
One's heavy and one's ultra light.
That's exactly it, yeah. And so when you're looking at that upgrade, knowing that you have that ability in you is, say, a crosswind limitations is great. The downside is it might give you false confidence to attack the same crosswind in your lighter flying machine, and that's where the problems come, because the aircraft limitations might be higher than your limitations, but if you change aircraft, your limitations are still where they are, but the aircraft limitations will go below, and that's when you run the risk of putting yourself in danger.
Yeah, cool. Okay, well, every flight is a learning experience for me, and it's just, it was a phrase a long time ago, you change a bucket of luck for a bucket of experience, and my luck was margined because I had an instructor in the back, but I've generally learnt a lot more from that than I thought I would do. It was a really short flight, but man, there was a lot of learning points in there.
A lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
Crosswind landings are a good thing to be good at. Having a plan is a necessity. Every flight, a necessity.
Cool. Well, as always, after a flight briefing, my mug is empty, so I need another cup of tea. Mark, it's been a brilliant lesson on this one, and I think I've learned more in that 30 minutes than anything else. So we'll leave it there, and until next time, everybody, fly safe.